10 unusual ways to raise your credit score. Stick around to the end. I got something good for you. Got something free for you if you haven't claimed it already. What up? You got Mr. Smith, 0.5 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And in this brief video, I want to give you 10 unusual ways to increase your score. And I didn't want to commit all 10 to memory, so I got my list right here based on a blog post that we put up yesterday. And this video is brought to you by Bubbly. Just kidding. But it is sponsored by Webull. So what you can do is grab some free stock. If you visit the link a little bit down below, you'll see where you can get 2 free stocks just by getting an account set up with Webull and, getting your deposit on so you can start growing your money. As you know, we're all about increasing your cash flow so you can build your wealth or give you access to cash flow revenue streams that you can get via better credit or just understanding how the game goes. And investing is one of the things you want to do with additional cash flow. So grab that freebie if you have not already. All right, let's go. 10 unusual ways to raise your credit score. Number 1, piggybacking. And this may be something you've heard referred to as becoming an authorized user. Piggybacking is basically you piggybacking off of someone else's positive history, their payment history, their credit utilization, as well as their credit history. Those things that somebody else has done positively to better their own credit can benefit you if you tap into what's known as piggybacking. So basically what that looks like is this. Say they have a credit card and they've been doing great things with it, paying it on time. They've been had it for some time. They keep the utilization 9% or less. Then it might be a good idea for them to add you as an authorized user to their card, because now you inherit all of that positivity and you didn't do anything, or you didn't put in the level of work that they put in. So it's definitely a favor. And some people charge a decent amount to have you added as an authorized user. But typically that's temporary. So if you want a more long-term strategy to doing that, make sure it's somebody that you'll be around forever. Basically a family member, a parent, a grandparent, an uncle who wants to add you and let you benefit from that good, positive activity on their credit card. Now, this is the bonus to them. They don't have to issue you out a card, because if they've been putting in all this work, it's a good chance that they don't want you to come in and mess it up. And they're not certain that you won't mess it up. So you approach them and basically say, hey, I don't have to even get issued out a card. And that way they're able to add you, help you, but not hurt themselves while helping you in the process. Piggybacking. That's number 1. Number 2, keep old accounts open. Keep old accounts open. Oftentimes we see people when they pay off a credit card, they're quick to try to close. They're like, I paid it off. I don't want to get caught into a credit card debt. I'm closing. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea, because sometimes you might get rid of thousands of dollars in buying power or a line of credit and you closed it. So now that hurts your utilization. It killed some of the credit history that you could have developed by keeping the account open. Because what you got to understand is every year that you have certain accounts enhances the level of credibility you have, because you have more credit history. So don't close open accounts unnecessarily. Now, we get it. As it relates to installment debt, it's no stopping it. Once you pay off something, it's paid off. But you did your thing. It'll still reflect positive on your report. And, that's what it is. But as it relates to credit cards, keep open accounts open. If your utilization is out of whack, just figure out a way to lower it. We teach ways to lower it. And, definitely want to click that link below and stick around to the end, because we got something for you at the end that I know will benefit you greatly if you tap into it. But definitely click one of the available links below so you can tap into a financial success membership that can show you how to get more cash flow and get that utilization taken care of. Next up on the list is number 3, set up auto payments. Set up auto payments. Sometimes this terrifies people, but if you can get over the thought process of paying the bill and running the risk of creating what's known as human error and accidentally paying it late, because we've done that. We've accidentally paid it late, paid certain things late, just, life, or just moving around, not paying no attention, not sitting down. So I started putting a lot of stuff on auto pay. My wife thought I was tripping. She was like, man, you got all this stuff on auto pay. I'm like, yeah, better on auto pay than not auto pay. So if you want it paid, auto pay, and it helps you because it keeps your payment history intact. Now, of course, you got to have the funds in there, or if it's coming from a credit card, then hopefully you got the funds in there and you're paying that credit card off, keeping that utilization intact, 9% or less. But auto pay is a good friend and a good strategy in terms of using to keep your credit up, and a good investment strategy too. But that's another video. Number 4 is pay credit card bills more than once a month. Great strategy. Pay credit card bills more than once a month. Now, we know that there are a lot of tactics and strategies and things that people do in order to keep their utilization intact. I'll say that. Understanding the statement dates, all of that. But if you just wanted to get in the good practice of paying less in interest as well as paying your credit card balance off sooner, make multiple payments per month. If you can do it weekly, great. If you can do it twice a month, great. But more than once a month can help your credit score because it's showing even more payment history. Because you're paying it more often, which means you're making more payments, which means you're creating more history. So, I hope you catch that. Number 5, ask for goodwill deletion. So if you have any late payments, and this is a great conjunction to what we just talked about, if you have any late payments, then that is hindering your score. You want to have as flawless or as close to flawless in payment history as possible, because that's 192.5 points that comes from payment history alone, 35% of your score. That said, you want to get your payment history intact. How do you do that? Sometimes you have to send out goodwill letters. You can do that by phone. That wouldn't be sending a goodwill letter, but you get the point. You'll be saying what's being said in a goodwill letter. And the goodwill letter is basically asking the creditor to give you a favor and say, hey, I've enjoyed the relationship, and I look forward to a further relationship, because it works best if it's with an account that basically has a decent time frame, and they're more likely to remove it because you have a solid relationship with it. You just ran into a hiccup or forgot to pay the bill because it wasn't set on auto pay, and you're asking for them to please remove it. And sometimes they got to send what's known as a universal data form, or UDF, to the bureaus. But getting that removed can definitely help your score. Next up on the list is number 6. Avoid pre-approved offers. It's a lot of pre-approved offers we get in the mail all the time. A lot of pre-approved offers, and some of them are enticing, and some of them could be good because they seen good traction with our history and things of that nature. So they're offering good stuff a lot of times because they didn't make that offer a lot of times without knowing where you stand. But sometimes these pre-approvals can be detrimental. So do your homework before you do it. And you don't want to just get in the habit of just opening up as many accounts as possible unless you got a strategy behind it. Because too many accounts can be too much for some people if they don't know how to manage it. But avoid those pre-approvals unless you do your due diligence on the front end. Number 7. Avoid new utility accounts, because that also is starting to get in the place to where it's going to affect your credit. You mark my word, a lot of people realize that Experian Boost gives them good credit and payment history due to the things that they're paying, such as utilities, such as phone bills, such as streaming services. So by understanding it, that lets you know where we're possibly heading. And I've seen some things that this current administration is trying to move down the pipeline that may incorporate that. Now, that can be really good for some people and not so good for others. But avoid new utility accounts. So what does that mean? If you're moving and you're moving to a city in your area, instead of getting a new account, if you can avoid it, because sometimes you have to change it up, consider making a transfer. Consider them transferring the account that you already had. And it helps tremendously. We were able to do that, but we bought where we were renting at. So where we reside now was once being rented, but we got a great deal, and we didn't have to make that transfer, make that shift. But if you can and avoid the new utility account, it can be beneficial. Next up, remember library fines. Remember library fines. Now, we're moving into an era that a lot of people aren't just using a library like that, because what you need is readily available in multiple places. But the library still is very beneficial and a good resource. So the thing about that is, if you borrow a book, give it back, or if you haven't paid a fine, pay it back, even if that means buying a book. And I had to buy a book because I kept the book too long, and truth be told, I wanted it. I wanted to keep it, so I ain't mind paying the price that they charge for the book. But avoid those library fees, because after a while, being that they're a nonprofit type organization, government type organization, it can come back and get all your score. So definitely keep that intact. Number 9, avoid online quote comparisons. This is a big one because there's a lot of companies out here who say they'll do an online quote comparison for you. What that means is they're going to be running your credit on the back end. They may call it a soft pull, they may call it what they want. But if they're running a lot of online comparisons, then they're trying to get you a better price. How are they going to give you that better price? They're basing it off of certain things that you've done, hence your credit. Similar to how when you apply for a car, they may run your credit through 10 people and they all show up on the same day. And I know they say, well, it doesn't hurt you as much, but it definitely looks ugly on my client's credit profile when I see that on there, if it can be avoided. And a lot of times you can get some of those removed, but if you can avoid it, then avoid it. And this is what I mean with doing all those price comparisons, because they're starting to do it with insurance. They're starting to do it mainly insurance, definitely, but a lot of other things as well that do price comparisons that you can avoid, because otherwise it can hit on your credit. Stick around to the end, got a freebie for you. So that's that. And last but definitely not least, establish long-term credit. And that kind of could have been merged into one of the other ones that I listed, but your credit is known as credibility. Think about the people that you know in your life right now. It's certain people who are more on a pedestal because they are credible. They've shown their credibility. They've proven themselves. Like, for example, if you was somewhere and you needed a ride and you don't want to call Uber or whatever the case may be, if you go through your phone, you got a couple of people that you probably know that you'll be like, man, I'm gonna make this phone call because they're more likely to deliver on what I need right now. That's credibility. So when you establish that with an individual, that's known as a relationship, that's known as long-term, a friendship, somebody that you view as family because you've been knowing them so long due to their credibility. The same is true with how you go about making payments. The same is true with how you go about utilizing the credit. So you got to think long-term. This is a relationship and you're doing good things, and eventually you may be able to get certain good things out of them because of the good that you're doing and making sure that you are maintaining a level of credibility in your credit score. So those are the 10. Let me know the one that stood out the most to you, the one that helps you the most. Share this with some people that you feel may benefit. But I said I had a freebie for you. If you want access to a free credit class, 100% free, click the available link below and definitely grab your freebie in that list. You can go to smartcreditkit.com, but it should be a link below that takes you to that same place as well, so you can get the free credit class. And if you would like our assistance in that area, whether you want us to position you to do it yourself and you understand how to do it, get the video tutorials and letters, great. Or whether you would like to hire us for our services, either way is fine, but grab your freebies. That's all I got. Signing out. Salute.